According to the Alzheimer Society of Canada, the number of Canadians with dementia is rising sharply. As of today, there are over 500,000 Canadians living with dementia, plus about 25,000 new cases diagnosed every single year. By 2031, that number is expected to rise to 937,000, an increase of 66%. My guest today shares his own personal journey with caring for a family member living with Alzheimer's and how faith has helped him and his wife serve their loved one through what can be a difficult journey. Welcome, Dave.
Thank you.
So you and your wife, Dale, have been caring for your mother-in-law, Karen.
Yes.
Tell me about why share this journey with the world?
I think I decided it shortly after we were woken up at 2 o'clock in the morning by a police officer in our bedroom with his light shining at us saying, "I'm responding to a 911 call." And so there's got to be a mistake. I didn't call anybody.
I'm asleep.
And he said, "Well, there's an elderly woman in your living room." It's like, oh yeah. So yeah, we had her at our home because she was having an open can of soup in the cupboard and putting perishables in the wrong places and some confusion. We wanted to have her over at our place, and she woke up, didn't know where she was, didn't know where her husband was, called the police. And I did everything wrong that evening. I didn't understand the disease. This was kind of early on. And I said, "Karen, you've been in our house 1,000 times and Jean died a couple of years ago." And she said, "Well, this is the first I've heard of it." I thought, okay, I need to do things differently and I need to figure out what's going on.
And so when the diagnosis came of Alzheimer's, take me back to that time and what that was like for you as well as for your wife, Dale.
It took a while to land there because it starts out slow and then it progresses worse. And so you think, well, she's old, she's in her 80s, she's just slipping a little bit. But there's a difference between grasping for a word, or maybe forgetting why you wandered into the kitchen and thinking that you're 300 miles away and that you're a teenager and you're trying to call your mother. So it's not just aging, it's a radically different kind of disease, and it takes a doctor. You need someone to make a diagnosis. You don't practice medicine on your own.
You do articulate that in your book as well.
Yeah, it's really important. And there are some conditions that can look like Alzheimer's that are a bladder infection or something that can be remedied. So you want a doctor to weigh in on this, but that was the diagnosis, and the trajectory is always difficult.
Now we hear dementia, Alzheimer's kind of used interchangeably. Yeah. Is there a difference? And if there is, what is it?
Dementia is not a condition, or it's an overarching umbrella term for other conditions like Alzheimer's, but to me it's kind of like potato and potato. They're all jets heading to the same airport, whether it's Lewy bodies or a different kind of dementia or it's Alzheimer's. It's never a smooth landing, and so to me I focus more on what do you do? What do you expect? And then what do you do as a family member?
And explain that, because, as you said, it can just gently almost appear, right? Like first you think, oh, they've just forgotten. Right. How do you emotionally go through that journey as a loved one and then a caregiver to help that person?
Karen is my mother-in-law, and so it was hard for me, but it's really hard for my wife. Yeah. And what's really hard is when you can't do anything about it, and you have to process the fact that she's forgetting who you are. She has a vague sense that I know you, but are you my niece? Are you my mother? So you just adjust to this difficult reality, and then you do the next thing. You just do the next thing in front of you.
And like fear or frustration. Obviously those things can pop out, especially as a caregiver. Okay. Explain the journey of not taking that out on the person that's struggling through this journey.
I've seen people, I wrote a chapter called Effective Techniques to Beat a Dead Horse.
Yeah.
And it goes like this. Okay, you start shouting at the dead horse by saying, "Giddy up," in a voice reminiscent of John Wayne. And if that doesn't work, you use some spurs. And if that doesn't work, you just bring a baseball bat and start wailing away at it. And once you've accomplished that, then you can go on to the difficult task of getting with someone with Alzheimer's to remember what you want them to remember. You have to give up on some things and don't be frustrated. And I've seen people do really dumb things like, I just told you that 5 minutes ago. Or while the person is there saying, she asked me 20 times a day where the bathroom is. It's like, excuse me, she can't do anything about it. He can't do anything about it. You have to be the one who adapts. And you also, I think, have to find a way to laugh. And I'm a humor writer. That's what I do. So I took on a book that is way outside my comfort zone and not something I normally do. But I thought, we have to bring a little bit of levity and joy actually into this really difficult journey, or it's going to take us down a black hole.
Well, we are going to take a quick break, but when we return, Dave is going to explain why he has found humor, as you just said, to be a good for the soul in the midst of this journey through Alzheimer's. Stay with us. We'll be right back.